Hello everybody, welcome back. Well, the track's down and it's all wired up and it does work. The insulated fish plates solved the problem. Yeah, a massive amount of work still to do. I can get the engine to run the only DCC engine I have, the little 04 Shunter. And speed setting 6 on the NCE controller, and that's with a motor startup voltage of 0. If I go any slower than speed 6, it is stopping here and there. I've cleaned the track. I've also stripped the loco because all the pickups were really dirty, and there's a little video. And got that all cleaned up, got it all back together. I've cleaned the track, I've gone over the track with a board rubber, and then with some kitchen towel and brake cleaner, believe it or not. And it does, once you've gone over with the board rubber, it looks clean, but then if you get some kitchen roll and a little bit of brake cleaner, give it a wipe, the dirt that comes off is quite surprising. But we've still got some issues, and it's just going to be a case of fettling and cleaning and adjusting the track a bit here and there. But overall, the track's down except for the coal siding. I've still got 2 fit point motors, so the frogs of the double slips and the 3-way point at the moment, the loco won't go over them because obviously the frogs are dead. There's just no power to them. But what I'll do is I'll give you a quick pan over the track as it is, and then I'll flip the board and show you underneath. So the turntable tracks, they're sort of about 90% there, I'd say. Still some adjusting to do and fettling, but the loco will drive off the turntable bridge and onto the tracks and in back the other way. But it's a little bit bumpy and what have you, so there is quite a lot of fine adjustment to do. We've got the platform line and the freight line, and they're running across to the station throat. As I say, the double slips and the 3-way point aren't wired up. The frogs aren't wired up. And then we come back this way and we've got the fish freight side in here, general heavy goods here, livestock here, and then this will be coal. And then here we've got the 2 goods sidings, general goods box vans. So underneath, this is what we have. Again, I'll get a camera and show you. So coming in from the top, I've actually fitted the socket now for the NCE power cab in the board. The 2 Wagos are power for my turntable. So at the moment, I'm plugging the Gauge Master controller in and wiring it into those 2 terminals there. I've decided that because I've done the DCC circuit in red and black, I'm going to do DC 12 volts in yellow and blue. So they're running around here to the turntable motor. The DCC is coming off the back of the NCE board around and then down to this terminal block where it picks up the turntable roads. It also comes across and around here to the station track, the freight track, and something else I can't remember. And you can see that they're just looped across. and then that feed comes out along here to this terminal block, where it picks up all of these pieces of track and points, and then out of there across where it picks up all of these pieces of track and points. Where the circles are, the black circles, that's where point motors have got to be wired in. So I've left the cables a bit loose so that I can jiggle things about to squeeze the point motors in. And I might have to put some further away from the point and actually have a little wire to operate them. But that's all part of the fun. So, yeah, tidy-ish, a bit more to do. I do like tidy wiring if I can. So get the point motors in and then try and tidy it all up. So you saw the loco running past at the start of the video, and that was on speed 6. It's too fast for shunting really, and it's too fast for entering and leaving the turntable. So I've got to find a way of slowing that motor down. Now I have been into the decoder settings via the controller, and I've gone through everything that I can think of to try and fine tune the motor. So I've tried upping the start voltage as high as 100, as low as 0, and everything in between, pretty much, you know, 10, 15, 20, 35, 60, you know. And I can't get it to consistently run slowly. And when I say slowly, I'm talking creeping, because obviously if that's the shunter working in these sidings, it's going to be constantly moving wagons around very slowly. At the minute, it's not there. Now, I've also looked at the wheel gauge, and it was quite a long way out. It was jumping across on some of the points because the wheels were too far apart, and the flange of the wheel was riding up on the what do you call them now, the catch things in the points, you know, it was riding up. I've altered that slightly, but as best I can, using a steel rule to get the 7.6 mil gap between the wheels, and it's running much better now through the points, but we are still getting some sticky points where it stops, and we are still not getting that really slow running. As far as I can see, the track is spotless, the piece of track that I'm testing it on anyway, and it's I don't think there's much wrong with the track. The wheels I've cleaned, the pickups I've cleaned in the loco. I do have a wheel cleaner coming from Amazon. I tried to get one at the show on Saturday, but I've got to be honest, I thought from a product point of view at the traders' stalls, Engage was quite poorly represented. Now I know it's not as popular as OO, HO, but I thought it was quite poorly represented. From a product point of view, there were lots of people involved in Engage and the 2mm fine scale society, Pete. But yeah, product I thought was a bit, not so much. Anyway, even Gauge Master didn't have one of their own wheel cleaners in Engage, and there is a rumour going around that they're not making them anymore, or they're out of stock. So I found one on Amazon and thought, right, I'm buying it now. There was only one left, so I've bought that. When that arrives, I'm going to give the locos the wheels a good clean on that. All I can think of is just keep cleaning the track and keep tweaking it and perfecting it, altering it slightly to get that slow running. that said, I was watching YouTube last night, and I can't remember the guy's name now, but I was watching a video. He had a small, I think it was an 040 engine, and he was having a similar problems, and he changed the decoder and it solved everything. I've never put a decoder in. I'm sure I can do it, but which decoder? You know, that's the question. And the engine itself, the loco, is very small, as you can imagine. Now the decoder at the moment is sort of in the cab. I don't know what make of decoder is in here. That's the problem. When I go into the decoder through the controller, it's coming up, I think it's a 127 decoder, that's what it says, or the manufacturer's a 127. It doesn't give me a name, it just gives me a number. But it may be that there's a setting in there that I don't know about. I'm literally going into the motor settings and altering the startup voltage and all that sort of stuff. So any advice from you guys would be greatly appreciated. Is there something I can do to get this motor to creep a bit more? Do I need to change the decoder? Do I need to alter a setting? Is it purely down to the track? It's just not clean enough, and the wheels? What's the opinion of you guys? The only information I can give you is the track's been cleaned to death. The loco's been cleaned. I've altered voltages from 0 to 100, like I've said, you know, 50, 70, 60. I've tried all different sort of configurations, and it still won't run any slower consistently without stopping somewhere on a speed setting lower than 6. Which is too fast, you know. I don't know, but as a rough guess, a scale speed would perhaps be 30 mile an hour or something. Well, you're not going to drive onto a turntable at 30 mile an hour. You would have been crawling onto it. And that's what I've got to achieve somehow. So, do I need to mess about with the settings? Do I need to do some more cleaning? Do I need to change the decoder? Let me know. So, moving on. I'll run this idea past you guys. So, I discussed in the last video what I'm planning to do for the coal siding, but I've also got to start thinking about other things now on the board as well. So this is going to be the Goodyard in here. Obviously, I need vehicle access to the Goodyard, and the only sensible way it could come is between the station platform and the diesel refueling line through here. So I could have a level crossing, but probably not very prototypical considering it's at the end, you know, right here between the turntable and the platform, etc. I could have a bridge over, but that's going to sort of take room away from the Goodyard because the bridge has then got to come down. And I also am planning to have a bridge here over the tracks. So I don't really want to put one here as well. The other option would be the road goes under the track and we have, you know, the little girder bridges, and there's sort of a road tunnel, if you like, albeit very short. So that could start going down, say here, under the track, and come up to about here, and then into the Goodyard. And that's the way I'm leaning at the moment. That's my favourite at the moment, I think. Obviously it will mean cutting some holes in the baseboard to achieve it, and then building some kind of structure underneath with walls and what have you. But yeah, I think that's my preferred method at the moment. But any suggestions, let me know. So the next major work to do on the board, I think, is obviously I've got to fit these point motors that I bought on Saturday. And I think what I'm going to do before I actually wire them up, I'm going to build the control panel, because at least then I've got somewhere to wire them back to. I've done this before with previous layouts where you fit point motors and stuff, and then you've got a switch hanging over here and one over here and one over there, and you think, yeah, I'm going to build a control panel later, and you've just got wires hanging everywhere and switches on the ends of them. And that's not, I want to really kind of do the job once, so to speak. Certainly with the box of it, the front panel may be a temporary thing with the switches in, so that I can get the layout how I want it, and then maybe update the front panel of it at another day, a later date. But at least I've got somewhere to wire the points back to, rather than having switches everywhere. So I think that sort of control panel and the points is going to be a joint project, if that makes sense. I'm happy with the NCE plug-in there. These two will disappear. I've got a potentiometer on order to go in the control panel to operate the turntable with a 12-volt transformer. So yeah, I've got to start thinking about drawing this point work onto a panel with a potentiometer in it and space for some extra switches, you know, for things like lights and what have you on the layout. And this, when this goes up into the loft eventually, this will have its own control panel. Other parts of the layout will have their own control panel. That's how I'm kind of doing it. And also, if I were to exhibit this, it's got its own standalone control panel, which I would obviously be operating from the back. So I want to make this control panel demountable, and I'm thinking if all the wiring underneath comes to some kind of central point, say here somewhere, to a terminal block that can be plugged in and unplugged, then from that terminal block I can create a wiring loop to the control panel, and then that means that I can plug that control panel in this side or at the back. Admittedly, the point work drawing would be the wrong way around at the back. Maybe I have two control panels, I don't know. I've got two potentiometers coming, so I could have a control panel to operate from here and one to operate from there. However, these are all thoughts that are going through my mind, and you know, if I could get the track sorted and get the loco running really slow, that would make me very happy. That's the first step. I mean, let's put it on again. I do think the wheel gauge may have something to do with it. There does seem to be quite a lot of play, a lot of movement in the wheels in the track, and I'm thinking, especially on a bend such as this point, is there too much clearance and therefore it's able to shift across and lose contact enough to stop? if we go up to speed 6, and then back the other way. As you can see, it's a lot more reliable. These point blades I haven't cleaned up yet on the inside where it makes contact. Frustrating. Now, I accept that it is only a small loco. It's only got 6 wheels. Each wheel does have a pickup though, so you've got 3 on this side, 3 on this side, opposing tracks. I may take it apart again later and see if I can find a reason why it seems to be struggling. Is it just the loco? Is it the motor? Is it the decoder? You know, I don't know how old this loco is. In fact, I do have some paperwork. Let's have a quick look so you can see a date on it. So it's a Class 04 and it's a revision 10308. I'm guessing that will mean something. So that may be able to date it. And here, this looks like the warranty. Is there a date on that? No. So, dates. There's no date that I can see. I just wondered if a date would help some of you answer, you know, because you'd know what sort of motor it had or something like that. So I don't know the next step really with that, to get it to run just a little bit slower. 2 speed settings slower really would be nice. So there we are, that's lots of progress really. Getting the track back down, getting it all wired up, getting it working. I don't have any suspicions about the wiring. I think the wiring's pretty good. Of course, if I had another loco, another DCC loco, I could test it against this one and then maybe conclude, well, yeah, it's just the loco, it's a small loco, it needs to have a different decoder or something, I don't know. Are the decoders on the market that are very small, that will fit in the cab of that are better for slow running? You know, is there a certain make that's better for slow running? And then maybe I could keep this decoder and put it in one of my other locos, DC locos, on say the Pacific class engine that I've got, because that's only ever going to be going quick, really. You know, it's not going to have slow running unless it's on a straight piece of track in the station, really. So, you know, maybe a better decoder in this little shunter and that decoder in the A1 Pacific class, whatever. I don't know. It's all new to me, and it's one of the reasons I started a YouTube channel, to try and get some help. So yeah, I don't want to start diving into things and changing things if I don't need to. Someone might turn around and go, oh, you just got to change this setting in the thing and it'll be fine. Hope so. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. Just a bit of a waffle video really about running problems and track down, wiring done. Should I do a bridge? Should I do a tunnel for that? I like the idea of a tunnel actually. Prototypically, would they have built a tunnel so close to the sea? Probably not. But, you know, you never know. I'm sure if you look hard enough, I could find a tunnel by the sea. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you can help me with this slow running issue, fire it over. Put it in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks very much.